Number 7. Desiree Gibbon. Desiree Gibbon had always been strikingly beautiful. She had been involved in modeling and beauty pageants since her early years in Queens, New York. However, as she reached her mid-20s, she decided to shift gears and pursue a different path behind the camera. Her aspiration was to attend film school in Europe and create documentaries. In order to save money, Desiree traveled to Jamaica in late 2017 with the intention of finding work as a bartender. She planned to stay at her grandparents' bed and breakfast for a month. According to her family in the United States, she seemed to be enjoying her trip. However, a few days before her scheduled return to New York, she was tragically discovered brutally murdered in some bushes alongside a country road. Desiree's body bore numerous bruises and her throat had been slashed. The last sighting of her was when she left the bed and breakfast late at night, 3 days prior to the incident, and nothing appeared out of the ordinary. Strangely, she left her purse and local cell phone behind, but took her American cell phone with her. The American cell phone was never recovered, and whenever Desiree's family attempted to call it, it went directly to voicemail. Nevertheless, it was this very phone that Desiree's aunt, Peggy Brunner, received a call from 2 months after the murder. On the other end, she could only hear breathing, and when she tried to return the call, the phone was no longer in service. A few hours later, Peggy received a second missed call from her deceased niece's number, but once again, her attempts to reach out were in vain. At the time of Desiree's tragic demise, Jamaica was grappling with a surge in homicides. Her mother, Andrea Callie Gibbon, suspects that her daughter may have witnessed or discovered something she was not supposed to know, leading to her untimely death as an effort to silence her. It is plausible that Desiree unknowingly fell victim to someone she knew, given that nothing appeared amiss when she was discovered leaving the bed and breakfast. However, until further information emerges, the true events and circumstances surrounding her tragic fate remain uncertain. Number 6. Gareth Crowe. In 2016, Gareth Crowe, aged 36, embarked on a family trip to Koh Samui Island in Thailand, accompanied by his teenage stepdaughter, Eileen Hughes. During their visit, they decided to partake in an elephant trekking expedition together, while Crown's partner, Catherine Hughes, and her son remained behind. Crown and Eileen were riding on the same elephant when the animal became agitated and threw them off its back. Tragically, the elephant then attacked and fatally gorged Crowe, while Eileen sustained injuries and required hospitalization. Eyewitnesses reported that the elephant, named Golf, displayed signs of distress and misbehavior before the incident. Despite the attempts of its handler to control it, the elephant refused to cooperate and was eventually overcome by anger. After charging at Crowe, the elephant fled into the nearby woods. Rumors circulated suggesting that Crowe had provoked Golf prior to the attack, but Eileen vehemently denied these allegations. Speaking with a Thai newspaper from her hospital bed, she insisted that she knew what had transpired since she was present and affirmed that her stepfather had done nothing to entice the assault. Animal activists argue that such tragedies stem from the unnatural captivity and exploitation of wild animals by humans. The mistreatment inflicted upon captive elephants by their handlers has been cited as a contributing factor to their turning against humans. While activities like riding, cuddling, or taking selfies with exotic animals may appear enjoyable, many caution against these actions, emphasizing the inherent dangers involved. Instead, they advocate for appreciating wildlife from a safe distance. Number 5. Ivanice Harris. In May 2013, Ivanice Harris traveled to Honolulu, Hawaii to commemorate her 29th birthday. Accompanying her on the trip was her boyfriend, Mark Miles Jr., and a female friend. The relationships between both women and Miles were complex. Both were involved in the sex trade and had romantic feelings for Miles, who acted as their pimp. Naturally, their shared affection for Miles created some tension between them, but they also valued their friendship. In one way or another, they managed to navigate this unconventional arrangement. Ivanice had planned to leave behind her life as a sex worker after her birthday celebration. Her intention was to pursue higher education and make positive changes in her life, and the Hawaii trip marked her final time engaging in such activities. A few nights into the vacation, Ivanice went missing. The police initially focused their investigation on the intricate dynamics among Ivanice, Miles, and their female companion. The situation seemed prone to jealousy and potential conflict, but Ivanice's friends insisted that jealousy was not a factor. Surveillance footage from a pub in Waikiki captured Ivanice conversing with a man outside at around 2 o'clock in the morning. The man was later identified as Nathaniel Cosby, a 38-year-old U.S. Marine sergeant temporarily stationed in Hawaii. Further video evidence from a nearby hotel showed Ivanice and Cosby entering an elevator together. In the early morning hours, Cosby was seen leaving the hotel, struggling to fit a large duffel bag into his rental vehicle. He returned a few hours later and carried on with his day as if nothing had happened. However, Ivanice was never observed leaving the room. 4 days later, her decomposing body was discovered in a large duffel bag approximately 40 miles away from Waikiki, in West Oahu. The medical examiner could only determine that she had died from a neck injury due to the advanced state of decomposition. The duffel bag seemed to match the one Cosby had been seen with after taking Ivanice to his room. Cosby was charged with murder and faced trial in a military court. Cosby claimed that he had killed Ivanice in self-defense, but the court rejected his defense. He was convicted of murder while engaging in a dangerous act and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, authorities charged Miles with violating the Mann Act, a federal law prohibiting the transportation of individuals across state lines for prostitution. Although Ivanice was believed to have engaged in sex work voluntarily, Miles had broken the law by acting as her manager during their travels. As part of a plea agreement, he pleaded guilty and received a 3-year prison sentence. Do you think that's a fair sentence? Let us know in the comments below and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. Sativa Tran Sue. Instead of spending Thanksgiving 2021 with her family in Spokane, Washington, 26-year-old Sativa Tran Sue decided to go on a vacation to Cancun. She was urged to do so by her boyfriend, 31-year-old Taylor Allen. Ever since Sativa's loved ones met Taylor 2.5 years ago, they had a strange feeling that something was off about him. They believed he was controlling and suspected him of monitoring Sativa's cell phone. Furthermore, there were claims that Allen could become explosively angry when he consumed alcohol. Despite the family's pleas for Sativa to come back home, they had no choice but to respect her decision as she was an adult. Initially, the vacation seemed to be going smoothly. However, Sativa's loved ones grew concerned when they were informed by her friends that she had mentioned needing stitches after an altercation. Earlier that day, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Sativa confided in her friends that Allen had already consumed 7 shots and 2 pina coladas. When the family could not get in touch with Sativa after hearing about her need for stitches, their worry intensified. Jamie Beaulieu, Sativa's mother, received a call from the U.S. consulate the following morning, informing her that Sativa had been found dead. The hotel's housekeeper had discovered her body severely beaten. Allen was arrested for murder and remained in custody in a Mexican jail. No updates have been provided since late 2021, leaving the current status of the case uncertain. Number 3. The Esmond family. In early 2015, a family from Delaware experienced a severe illness while vacationing on the U.S. Virgin Island of St. John. The cause of the illness was traced back to the use of a dangerous and illegal pesticide that had been employed to treat the property where they were staying. 4 days into their vacation, Steve Esmond, his wife Dr. Teresa Devine, and their 2 teenage sons, Sean and Ryan, began suffering from seizures. Their condition rapidly worsened, leading to their urgent transfer to a hospital, and ultimately requiring them to be airlifted back to the United States for medical treatment. Furthermore, 4 emergency responders who had assisted in transporting the family to the hospital were also exposed to the toxic pesticide and fell ill. The pesticide in question, methyl bromide, is an odorless substance known to cause fatal damage to the respiratory and nervous systems. Although it is banned for residential use, Two employees of Terminex had used it to fumigate the apartment located below the Esmonds' rented condo. The teenage boys spent several weeks in medically induced comas. 6 months after the poisoning incident, they had regained consciousness but faced significant challenges in their physical abilities. Previously active and athletic, their future plans involving sports were now uncertain. Their extent of their recovery remained unpredictable, with a strong possibility of irreversible damage. Steve Esmond, a former school principal, suffered from paralysis, an inability to speak, and a loss of basic self-care abilities. Teresa, who worked as a dentist, experienced seizures but had relatively less severe long-term complications. In a lawsuit against Terminex, the Esmond family was awarded an $87 million settlement. The manager of Terminex International St. Croix branch, Jose Rivera, faced charges of improper use of the banned pesticide. He pleaded guilty to 4 counts of improper use of a restricted pesticide and was subsequently sentenced to 1 year in prison. Number 2. Elijah Snow. In 2021, Elijah Snow and his wife Jamie embarked on a trip from Arlington, Texas to Cancun to commemorate their 10th wedding anniversary. The 35-year-old firefighter and father of 2 appeared to be in high spirits in photos taken shortly after their arrival at the resort on July 18th around 10 o'clock in the morning. Although their room wasn't ready, the staff provided them with bracelets for complimentary drinks while they waited. Elijah and Jamie spent the subsequent hours socializing and enjoying drinks with other guests at the resort until their room became available at approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon. After dropping off their luggage, they ventured out again and continued their drinking spree. They consumed more alcoholic beverages during dinner and continued their evening at various bars located by the ocean. Shortly before 9 o'clock that night, Jamie returned to their room to rest, while Elijah expressed his intention to finish his drink and join her shortly. However, when Jamie woke up around 4 o'clock in the morning, she discovered that her husband had not returned. After searching the resort without success, she alerted security staff. Eventually, Jamie contacted the police after several additional hours passed without any sign of Elijah. The missing vacationer was discovered hanging from the small window of an employee bathroom at a neighboring hotel. Tragically, he had passed away. Authorities concluded that it was a tragic accident, surmising that Elijah had accidentally suffocated while attempting to maneuver through the window. However, Elijah's loved ones speculated that foul play might have been involved. They believed that he may have been targeted, robbed, and forced into the window. They argued that it was completely out of character for Elijah to attempt to break into a room he wasn't supposed to be in. Additionally, after viewing his body, they felt that his injuries were too extensive to be explained solely by attempting to squeeze through a small space. Despite their suspicions, law enforcement did not find enough cause to investigate his death as suspicious. Only limited surveillance footage was obtained, which captured Elijah pressing elevator buttons before stumbling towards a circular staircase and was clearly intoxicated. His family believes that additional surveillance footage might have existed. However, the police claim that some cameras were not operational, and the neighboring resort declined to release its security video. While authorities showed no inclination to pursue further investigation immediately following this perplexing tragedy, Jamie has filed a lawsuit against the resort and the travel agency responsible for booking her trip, citing negligence. Determining whether this case involved foul play or not is challenging without access to comprehensive evidence and further investigation. The circumstances raise legitimate questions and uncertainties, leaving room for different interpretations and theories regarding Elijah's untimely demise. Number 1. Christy Chen. In 2022, Christy Chen married Bradley Robert Dawson, who was 38 years old, after a whirlwind romance. Despite knowing each other for only 3 months, the 36-year-old pharmacist from Tennessee and her new husband embarked on a honeymoon in Fiji, where they indulged in a luxurious $3,500 per night suite at the upscale Turtle Island Resort. The bride's parents generously paid for the trip as a gift to the newlyweds. During the second night of their vacation, witnesses observed Chen and Dawson drinking heavily and engaging in arguments. Chen was upset with Dawson for flirting and dancing with other women. The couple retired to their suite, where the loud commotion continued until suddenly falling silent after a final thud and a loud scream. According to one witness, it appeared as though someone in the room was intoxicated and losing control. The following day, a hotel butler discovered Chen's severely beaten body in a small space between the wall and the toilet. Dawson had already left the resort. 2 days later, Dawson was found on Matakaulevu Island, several miles away from the resort, where he had kayaked following the argument with Chen. Authorities suspect he intended to catch a boat to mainland Fiji and escape the country from there. Upon searching Dawson, the police found money, his passport, his and Chen's identification cards, as well as Christie's Visa cards. Interestingly, he left behind his GPS watch. Dawson maintained that Christie's death was accidental, but investigators doubted his explanation due to the extent of her injuries. He was arrested and charged with murder. During an interview with ABC News from the jail in Fiji where he was being held, Dawson expressed that Chen meant everything to him and claimed that their arguments had never turned physical. He stated that he left the island in a kayak to de-escalate their disagreement that night. Dawson's ex-girlfriend, Kristen Barker, provided a slightly different perspective on the accused. In an interview with People magazine, she revealed that Dawson transformed into a different person when he consumed alcohol. Barker alleged that he had tendencies to black out and forget his actions the next day. She also described Dawson as someone with expensive tastes and a longing for a luxurious lifestyle. Additionally, she mentioned his long-standing obsession with visiting Fiji. As of early 2023, Dawson had been denied bail due to concerns that he posed a flight risk. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have your foot get run over while on vacation, or all of your luggage stolen and never returned? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe. See you next time on The Bad Badger.